Okay, yes. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Chidi Nwosu, the founder and president of Human Rights, Justice and Peace Foundation, based in Aba-based state of Nigeria.
And what are you doing in New York today?
Actually, I've been in the US for the past 1 month to meet with policymakers, and I came to discuss political development in Nigeria with them and the ongoing electoral reform process.
So you actually believe that there's an electoral reform process going on in Nigeria to
Now,
the extent that you can come to the US to discuss it?
yeah, actually, I was invited by some policymakers, to discuss the political development, including the support the so-called electoral reform process.
So do you believe that there will be an electoral reform process in
No,
Nigeria?
I don't. I don't believe that was one of the issues I addressed in Washington
And,
because the
and do you believe that Washington can help?
yeah, they can help by assisting those of us in the civil society, you know, to drum up, to mobilize and coordinate the civil society for a non-violent revolution in Nigeria.
You actually think that the civil society can bring about a non-violent revolution?
Of course, I believe that.
How is that going to happen?
Yeah, that is through conscientizing the people. I believe that the best way to change a society is to change the belief of the people.
So how long have you done this as a human rights activist?
Yeah, actually, I've been in the struggle since the early 90s when I joined the campaign for democracy. Then under the leadership of late Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti. And in 2001, I floated my own organization called the Human Rights Justice and Peace Foundation, and which specializes in initiatives that curb revenge killing, extrajudicial killing, as well as anti-corruption in Nigeria.
So your hands must be really full. How are you coping with this amount of work in a country where the people in power, really don't brook nonsense?
God, I would say, has been protecting me. The Bible says that he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So, because I have been working, what I do is the work of God. God has been protecting me.
So you are a priest too?
I'm not a priest, but I'm a Christian.
Okay. So you're talking about a non-violent revolution. How is it? Do you think the U.S., the Washington-based policymaker, actually would support a revolution in a country like Nigeria?
You see, they actually been supportive of the activities of my organization and several other organizations in Nigeria.
On the condition that there's a revolution?
On the condition that when you say revolution, I mean change. And I did say non-violent,
Yes.
It has to be a non-violent revolution. It happened in India. It happened some time ago in the US, and it can happen in Nigeria.
When did it happen in the U.S.?
It happened in India. When it happened in the US, you forgot the activities of a late Dr. Martin Luther King.
No, I didn't. I'm asking you. So is that the kind of revolution you
That's
want?
the kind of revolution that I want. I want the belief of the people to be changed. Our people are prisoners of abysmal ignorance, and until they are educated, until their beliefs are changed, they cannot effect the desired change in the politics.
What do you think are these beliefs that is preventing a revolution from happening in Nigeria, where you come from?
Like Fela would say, that my people say they fear too much.
Okay.
So the people do not know that, first of all, that power belongs to them. And even those that know that power belongs to the people do not have the skills required to effect the desired change. So these are some of the things that my organization has been working on, trying to tell them, equip them with the skills required to effect a change in the desired policy.
So when the people in your organization or who are beneficiaries of the activities of your organization get educated, what do they do next?
They go to the grassroots. We are making disciples of all nations. What we're doing is organizing. From time to time, we organize training or trainers workshop. We train people, some civil society leaders, who go back to the various constituencies and train members and leaders of community-based organizations, who will also go back and train town union leaders, things like that, and so on and so forth.
So you've been doing this since 2001, you said?
Since 2001, yes, my organization has been working
in
this area.
You think you have enough people on the ground, trained, educated enough to bring about the non-violent revolution or the type you had in India, the type that Dr. King had in the U.S. and other
Yeah,
places?
it's a gradual process,
How long is a gradual process?
Well,
How long does it take?
I think it's something that cannot be measured. It's something that one cannot really determine. Yeah, it's something that will come. The much desired revolution will be realized as soon as the people, we have enough people that can effect the desired change.
And
I don't know what I get.
You don't have an idea how long that is.
I don't know how long it's going to take.
Because I'm saying that because if someone goes to a university to become a doctor, after 7 years, he's able to operate on a patient or specialize.
One thing, Jesus Christ, when he came, he was also an advocate. He was also advocating for nonviolent change, nonviolent revolution.
Yeah.
So it didn't take him. So when he was asked when the kingdom of God was going to come, he did not tell them exactly. So I can't tell
because he doesn't know.
Because he knows that it is just a function of knowledge. Until they acquire the knowledge required, then they cannot get to the promised land.
But coming back to Jesus Christ, didn't Jesus Christ go to the temple, for example, to start a fight? Yes, that's violent. He went to the temple and drove away people who would turn the place into. Didn't that happen?
It was not in terms of change.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ did not advocate for the use of violence, violence to effect a change. So he was not actually changing. That violence was not to effect a change.
What was it to do?
He was only expressing his disgust over the conversion of his father.
So do you think that you have enough people who are willing or have expressed enough disgust to chase away the people, the political leaders who have taken over your father's land or mother's land, for that matter? Do you have enough people who are doing that, who are courageous enough to do what Jesus Christ, for example, did at the temple?
We have been mobilizing. That is what I said. I said we're in the process of mobilizing the people, We have.
Let me take you in another direction. How much do you think NGO is a business as opposed to it is a tool for bringing about change? For example, a lot of people complain that the NGOs love the way things are because it's a way to keep getting grants.
Well, it depends on the perspective one looks at this, For me, I don't see NGO as a business, I see it as a tool to effect a change, a positive change in the public.
You don't think it's an industry for a lot of people?
For me, I would only.
I mean, because you interact with a lot of people who are also NGO owners. You meet at seminars, you meet at these training programs, and a lot of people just feel like Nigeria is the way it is because the NGO people have become an industry and also a social class that are comfortable with the way things are.
I think that was one of the things a group told me in Washington. But they know those groups too.
They know those.
They are disappointed in those groups.
Okay.
But for my group, I know.
So if I'm asking you that I want to hold you accountable to a promise of when this revolution will happen, you're going to tell me it's going to be like the kingdom of heaven? We wait forever?
Well, it's not something that we'll have to.
That means it will never happen in my lifetime.
I don't know. It did not happen in the lifetime of Martin Luther King Jr. But it happened in the lifetime of Obama. Yeah,
but Martin Luther King was already signing proclamations for voting rights before he died.
But in the nearest future,
so there's been some change.
I think in the nearest future, I can say with certainty when we are going to actualize.
For example, the NGO people don't believe in the electoral process or reform, as we know it. But all of you attend when they call a meeting, when the Electoral Reform Committee call a meeting, you're going to attend and say, oh, this is our submission, knowing that this is a ruse.
Yeah.
How do we iron out those contradictions?
Actually, because I know that I was in Abuja to submit. I was in Abuja. I actually went with a group too, just to submit our own memorandum.
Okay.
So we didn't want the government to have a reason, why they will say, after all, you did not make any contribution. So why are you condemning us or condemning what we're doing? So we knew that it was not going to work. Yet we went ahead to submit our own memorandum,
Okay. But you know that your memorandum don't count for anything other than to end up in a waste paper basket.
We know in the same way that the elections in the contemporary Nigerian society are inconsequential. In the same way that the elections will not reflect the collective will of the people.
If we see you or anybody getting grants tomorrow to monitor an election that you know would not take the people's vote into consideration, how do we then look at it?
No, you see one thing there.
Because every 4 years,
Yeah.
the civil societies come together as a coalition, and they take money from donors to monitor elections they know are not going to happen. Yes. How do we reconcile that?
You see one thing there. This democracy is a process. You understand? We believe that one day, that's in the nearest future, that elections will begin to reflect the collective will of the people. I get to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like in the next year, Anambra State is going to hold this goodbye election.
Let me ask you, for example,
okay.
you know, Yar'Adua asked for electoral reform. He set up a commission, he submitted a report. He's not acting on it. Yesterday or day before, a newspaper is reporting that PDP governors have decided that the next president will not need to go through party primaries, and the governors too. What does that tell you?
And yes, that is what I see. It shows that the president is not sincere. It shows that the president is not sincere, because I can say on the day that it is the handbook of the president.
Is it sincere to call him a president, knowing that he didn't win any elections?
Constitutionally speaking,
he won.
No, he is the president.
Oh yeah. Which constitution allows you to become president without winning an election?
No, but that is the constitution of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It allows somebody to become president without winning an election?
No, but the Supreme Court, the apex court of the land, validated his election. Even though that people like us still believe that he's an illegitimate president.
Okay.
I believe that the public opinion is stronger than the legislature and the judiciary. So that is why it is not wrong. It is not wrong for us to say that he is an illegitimate president.
Yeah. Well, one thing is to ask again that if you are not convinced that the next election will be free and fair, would your NGO take money to monitor the elections?
Well, we know
from the look any of things, grantee.
We know from the look of things that the elections, that they have perfected plans to rig the elections.
Yes.
Then what my organization, I won't talk about others. What my organization is going to do, or what we want to do right now, is in the southeast geopolitical zone where we focus our activities. We're mobilizing the people, training them on how to resist through non-violent means. Election riggers.
Tell me one style to resist an election rigger who is carrying an AK-47 on election day with non-violence training.
We are organizing civil disobedience training. It's not only carrying placards.
I said, just tell me one strategy that if your trainees see somebody with an AK-47 stuffed with ballot papers on election day, as we expect in Anambra State or in Abia State next election, how is your best trained person able to resist non-violently?
Well, first of all, what we
other than taking off from the election,
no. We are not. What we are going to do,
the polling booths.
Like, we're going to have election monitors. They will monitor and document their observations. You understand? Where there are cases of electoral fraud, practices, they will document and will not report them. Then number two, we are also educating the people on how to resist. That's in the aftermath of the election, how to issue the election. That the elections do not reflect their wishes. How to react.
How? That's the question I'm asking.
Well,
tell me one way they're going to react if they discover that the person who is president, governor, or even a councillor didn't win the election, like it happened in 2007.
Well, since the judiciary is independent, it's not independent. I mean, in other words, they cannot seek redress in any court.
Yeah.
We are educating the people on how they can, through sit-in, paralyze the activities of government.
Sit-ins?
Yes, of course.
All right. Let me ask you this final question. You recently called for the release of Al-Mustapha, the former chief security officer to late General Abacha.
Okay.
And it sparked off a lot of controversy on the internet. Why did you ask for his release, knowing that he's undergoing trial
Yeah,
at the
what
moment?
I asked for, what we did was to condemn his trial without conviction for the past 10 years. We are of the opinion that there are so many people that were arrested over murder charges, but were granted bail, somebody like Commissioner, you know. So why not extend the same gesture to him? After all, people like Dokubotu, you know.
Was Dokuba accused of committing murder?
At least one of the offenses for which he was charged to court was not unrelated to that.
Okay.
You understand? So he was also granted bail.
But granting people bail is the discretion of a judge.
And that is what we are saying, that in the dispensation of justice, that all should be treated equally, not to treat some with importance while others are treated with less.
So you think that he's been persecuted unjustly?
No, I think his continued trial without conviction is a form of persecution. I think that the trial has been programmed not to end, and that is what my organization condemns.
What about those who say that he is the one who is delaying his trial because he comes in every court to bring in motions to disturb the free flow of trial? He comes in, he abuses judges that is reported widely. So a lot of people think he's the architect of his own prolonged trial because of the tactic of his legal tactic, to rubbish the judiciary that is trying him or blackmail them.
So I mean, what do I have to say about that?
Yes, that what do you have to say about his own contribution to his wars? Apart from the fact that he was responsible for killing a lot of people under Abacha.
No, he's still presumed innocent until the Constitutional Court finds him guilty.
Okay.
You understand?
So that's where you stand.
That's where I stand.
And so you tell everybody who criticizes you, go to hell.
I'm not saying they should go to hell.
So do you have anything to say to Nigerians here in the U.S. regarding what they should expect of Nigeria in the next few years as your revolution becomes a reality?
I think I want Nigerians in the diaspora, including the U.S., to prevail on the Western powers, or to join us in our call for the convocation of a sovereign national conference, because I believe it's the most appropriate platform to redress the injustices in the Nigerian Union, be it class, gender, religious, or whatever.
So how are you mobilizing people to sit in, for example, to ensure that we have a sovereign national conference as opposed to monitoring the next election that would produce terrible results?
That is what I'm saying, because the president was talking about electoral reform. There is no how you can reform the electoral system without amending the constitution. So, and then the constitution, the 1999, and then we do not subscribe to the idea of amending the 1999 constitution, because it was not made by the Nigerian people, but by the military, by political robbers. We want the Nigerian people to be freely allowed to make a constitution that they can say, this is our own constitution, as opposed to the 1999 Abubakar made constitution.
One other thing to ask you is, how do you compare what you've seen in the U.S. with what goes on at home? I mean, your governor just won at the Court of Appeal recently, and I saw a statement from you saying, let's accept it, let's move on.
Yeah, we have no choice, Like I said, we work in the area of conflict resolution. One of the areas we work in is conflict resolution.
Yeah.
So since the Appeal Court upheld the election of Governor T.A. Ocha of Aba State, I called on the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP to accept it in good faith, because he doesn't have a choice. And also, on the other hand, I called on the governor to form a government, form a unity government comprising members of the opposition, excluding myself, because I'm not an opposition leader.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
What if you are offered the position of the Commissioner for Enjoyment, for example?
I'm not suffering, so I don't. In fact, I've made it.
Which is another name for special duties.
Okay, see, I was telling one of his men just yesterday that I'm not I don't expect anything from Governor Oji, but good governance.
Have you seen that in the last 2 years, though?
Hmm?
Have you seen any spark of good governance from him in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I have not seen, and
Okay.
he attributed it to the election petition.
Did the election petition prevent him from
No,
spending money?
well, I'm not. That was what he
carrying
said.
out policy?
That was what he said. And if
Did he tell you that by himself, or you heard it from another source?
No, I think his people told me.
Okay.
And if one of the things I said,
And you believe that?
I didn't believe it.
Okay.
So one of the things I said just shortly after he was his election was upheld was that he doesn't have any reason why he cannot perform.
He never did.
Hmm?
He never had any reason.
He never had any. Well, he said he had a reason.
Yeah.
But now that the heat is over,
Yeah.
I'm saying that Governor Oji does not have any reason why he cannot perform. So the Abia people expect him to use their resources judiciously to improve their welfare.
So we've been talking to Chidi Nwosu, and he's from Abia State. I'm looking for the name of your organization. Here's a Human Rights, Justice and Peace Foundation based in Abia State. So thank you for coming on Sahara Reporters today, and we hope to see you after the revolution you promised.
Thank you very much.